Da 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 da. Hello, we're live. What happened? Why did you get all crooked? Is that better? Sort of? Kind of? What are you doing? I got a new camera arm, courtesy of a generous patron who got me this new camera arm. Thanks so much. I don't know if they want to be called out publicly, so I won't unless they say something. But thank you, generous patron. My pen was being aggravating, so I haven't finished laying out the panel borders. As you can see, I'm covered in ink. I was having a hard time. We're struggling this evening. But hi, I'm Amanda Call, and this is my YouTube channel where I draw stuff on Tuesday nights, and you get to hang out with me while I work on my comics. I am finally starting. I am the first issue 4. This is the first page. Hey, Spud, thanks so much for joining me. This is the very first page. I was in the middle of trying to lay out the panel borders, and my pen was being aggravating, which is why I'm covered in ink. And then I realized it was 8 o'clock, so I'm gonna finish trying to lay out my panel borders while we chit-chat here. We'll see if it continues to cooperate or if it decides to be evil again. It seems like it's cooperating. But yeah, we finally finished issue 3, and it should be coming out in just a couple of days on the Brave New Comics website, which I am very excited about. That issue ended up taking a lot longer than we anticipated because just life. There was nothing particularly challenging about the issue itself. It was just life. Just life happening at me and Jeremy. Spud says, glad this is happening tonight. For some reason, I thought it was canceled this week, but I checked anyway. You are correct. It was not canceled this evening. I did a couple weeks ago I canceled, but I don't have any cancellations coming up anytime soon, unless something comes up. But planning on being here for the next several weeks, at least. Little Bug. Oh, I'm being joined by little bugs already. Thanks, little bug. Did I just bonk my head on my camera? I'm still getting used to this new camera. I don't know where it is. I don't know how to avoid it yet. Are you laughing at me or are you laughing at something else? My husband's snickering over there. Oh, you are laughing at me. Okay. Yes. Okay. I did bonk my head on the camera. It's fine. What else am I supposed to do? You're usually watching your own thing or whatever over there. I'm watching my own thing, but I still listen to you. Okay. All right, we're almost done laying out panel borders on this one. I like to have this done before the stream starts because it's not the most thrilling. I guess the only thing I can really say about it is that you measure everything out on the edges of the page ahead of time, and then when you're inking them, you try not to smear your ruler through the edges, which is why I'm going across methodically like this. Like I said, not the most interesting part of the process, so I try to have it done ahead of time, but that just didn't happen this evening because my pen decided that it was gonna be a brat. All right, so now we have all of our panel borders are nice and light. Hooray! Those are good to go. I can get my pen out of here, get that capped and put away. Leave any ink on the very end of it to get all gummy, because these pens do not like to dry out and have ink drying in them anywhere. Okay, I do have off to the side here, I have my little thumbnails. I have my script, which I don't want to show too much of. But yeah, so that's what we have to start with. I do have some perspective grid I need to put in here as well, because this first panel is an establishing shot. It's the establishing shot not just for the scene, but to open up this whole chapter. So it's a good place to have, you know, an actual like pulled back view where you can actually see where these characters are, not just a character's face real close floating in the void. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move my Masonite board out of the way. You guys get to watch me do a perspective grid, oh boy, as I throw papers off of my desk onto the floor. We might get to experiment with how well this camera arm works with like pulling back so we could see better. Hey, Hungry, thanks so much for joining me. All right, so part of the thing with this is that I am going to have to figure out like what is the perspective situation that I have going on in this panel. So let me grab my blue pencil. I think I have blue lead in this one right now. Yes, okay. So I need to figure out what my perspective situation is in this thumbnail. I just kind of sketched this. I didn't lay in a perspective grid or anything, but we can kind of figure out what it's supposed to be by the clues of what I did sketch in here. So I've got this set of lines up here is going down this way. So we're looking up, which means the horizon line is down here. This one is doing the same lines. The horizon line has to be below that. But here we have the top of the porch. We can see the porch floor. And that set of lines is going this way. So that means our horizon line has to be somewhere around here so that we have the railing going up, the line of the roof going up, but the porch floor going down. And that's it's like roughly halfway through that panel is where that'll go. So that's where we can start, as we can say about how big is this panel? This panel is 6 and a little more than 6 1/4 inches. So if we go at like 6, we go to like 3 1/8 and like 3 1/8. Didn't know you guys were going to get math tonight. And that's going to be my horizon line, more or less. A lot of times, too, you will find that if you do like just a quick sketch without a perspective grid, sometimes you will have come up with a perspective situation in your sketch that just does not work. It does not actually equate to anything in the real world. And so you just kind of have to do your best to make something that's getting the important parts of your sketch, or just re-sketch it if it's totally not going to work. Okay, so the other thing now is we need to figure out where these, more or less where these points are going to go. We're seeing a nice long side of everything over here. So it's looking like these are probably going to be a point that's pretty far out this way. We don't see a lot of this side, so this point is probably going to be a little bit closer on this side. So I'm going to take my, the reason why I moved off my Masonite drawing board is because I actually use these little like wood lines of the different planks of wood in my drawing desk to extend my horizon line as a guideline. Is it 100% accurate? No. Is it very convenient? Yes. That's why I do it. If this isn't like a technical drawing, I'm not like making schematics for a space station. It's okay if it's not 100% accurate. I just need to be able to actually get it done, and having the lines on my desk be what I use makes that possible. Hey, Story Comics here. All right, so I'm gonna pick a line. We're gonna go with this line. I'm gonna scoot, 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 because I want a good long perspective point. And now I'm too far away from the camera. And I gotta have to try to move my camera. Let's see if we can do that. Can I? Oh, okay, we're further away now. Can we? Oh, that's my lamp. And some of my desk. Can we swing this way? I don't know what I'm doing with this new camera arm, you guys. I'm trying. Keep my light out of the way. Maybe you can see what I'm doing now, sort of. Can we? Oh, you can kind of see what I'm doing now. It's a little awkward. Okay, all right. You should be able to see what I'm doing now. All right. Well, we'll make this work. I feel like this doesn't want to stay right there because it's at like a weird angle. Oh, you can see some of the junk on the side of my desk. That's cool. Just ignore that. Okay. All right. Now that we have a very weird angle view of my desk, but you should be able to see what I'm doing now. I'm going to get some drafting tape so that I don't have to concentrate on making a perspective grid and also not having my paper run away. I'm going to line it up with one of those lines. My horizon line is lining up with one of these lines on my desk now, so that's what I'm going to use is my guideline. Put it 2 points of contact so it can't like wiggle on me. And now I need to get my big giant ruler because my regular ruler will not reach. This is the one I use most of the time. It's only a little over 18 inches long. It's like 19 inches long altogether. And so if I put it at the point I want to use for my perspective grid, it just barely reaches the paper, which is not ideal. This angle looks like a Stanley Kubrick movie. It's going to get weird in here. So I'm going to use my big giant ruler. This one is, it only measures to 36 inches, but then there's like an extra like 3.5, 4 inches past that. So it's a very large ruler. And this is where I'm going to get out some different colored pencils too. I'm going to get my pink Kohl Erase pencil. And the reason I'm using different colors for the grid, I can still grab them out in Photoshop just like I do the blue when I'm with the rest of my pencils. But I can also distinguish it easier from my backgrounds from the stuff that I am drawing. So I know that those are my guidelines. I don't get confused when I'm trying to draw and be like, oh, there's so many blue lines everywhere, or confused when I go to ink of like, what are all these extra blue lines? No, there are pink lines. I know those are guidelines. They're not part of the final drawing. All right, so picking a point that's like all the way back here. And then I'm going to just, I'll show you over here for a second. I'm going to just pivot. This is my point right here. I'm going to pivot off of that point. That's not going to change. That's where I'm pivoting off of. That's my vanishing point on this side. Man, I might be floundering around a little bit with this new camera setup, but this would have been impossible with my old one. So I'm very thankful to my most generous patron. All right, so I'm going to start up at the top here and make these lines and then just pivot down a little bit, make another one, and I'm just going to keep pivoting down there, being careful that I am staying anchored to that vanishing point and making these lines. And trying to also make sure that my ruler doesn't wiggle out of alignment while I am making the line and kind of pressing on it. Okay, so that's one set of lines, but this is a 2-point perspective situation where you have one vanishing point on this side and one vanishing point on that side. So now I need to move my paper back over so that I can place the other vanishing point over here because I'm like on this edge of the desk right now. So I'm going to have to move it. So do that real quick. Try to find somewhere to put my giant ruler. All right. Come on, tape. Cooperate. All right, we're going to scoop back over here. Oh, you should be able to see like the whole process from this angle a lot better. For this one that's closer. All right, I'm going to get a different colored pencil for this other set of points. So now I'm going to get a red one. Just, again, it helps keep me from getting too confused. All right, I'm going to pick a point. I don't want it quite as far away as that one because this is like the short side. So I might actually be able to use my... No! Giant ruler, don't fall over. Might be able to use my regular ruler for this side. I think, will that reach? Yeah, that'll reach. I'm going to pick this little point here. This is where my vanishing point is going to be. That's where I'm going to pivot off of. So I'm going to start up at the top here and go down. I have to go a little slower with this one because my right hand is what's drawing the lines and also where I would normally be anchoring the pivot point. So I have to keep on making sure that it's still lined up and then going back and forth. The ruler shall remain unruly. An unruler. Exactly. And WF1187, boo, hello. Thanks so much for joining me. Yes, it isn't an unruler. They like to wander and fall over randomly. And because they're metal, then they make like an ungodly racket when they do. All right, there. And now we have a perspective grid. Hooray! Now I can put my stuff back on my desk and kind of return my camera to a more reasonable place. Oh, I'm totally going to save this tape too. I'm going to save this and reuse it until it's like completely not sticky because that's the kind of person I am. All right, I'll put my drawing board back up here and see if I can reorient myself. I don't know. This might be an issue. Let's see. Can we... Oh, wrong way. Okay. Can we... I don't know what I'm doing, guys. I don't know what I'm doing. This very nice new camera arm. Will you stay there? Will you stay put? Okay. I think I have it back where it belongs. A spring-loaded arm apparently is beyond my technical abilities. Okay. We finally have our panel borders and our perspective grid, which is where I would have liked to have been before we even began, but oh well. Now I can actually start drawing stuff. So we're going to start by just roughing in some of the basic spots where the characters are going to be taking up space. And, you know, other elements of the illustrations, because like this first one is a bit of an establishing shot, not completely like just a scenery establishing shot. We have the two characters in the scene as well. Because establishing shots that are just buildings can be kind of boring, so... All right, we're going to have the corner of the house over here. All right, and there, like we figured out earlier, so we're going to see the top of the porch. So, like, that's where the porch is, or that's my horizon line. We can see the decking of the porch. But then also the bottom of the roof. Hey, for just like eyeballing that, I'd say I actually got the perspective pretty good. It's pretty much almost the exact same perspective situation we've got there. Nice. Nice. Does not always work out that way. Sometimes end up with a perspective situation that I'm like, well, that's not what I sketched, but I guess that's what we're doing now. Is that too far over? I don't know if that one's too far over or not. We'll figure it out. Railing. Is there like another railing over here? I don't remember. I gotta look at my reference of like what this house looks like. But we've got some concrete front steps that are gonna be here, which means we gotta make some steps in perspective. We'll do that in a minute. I'm just gonna put a wedge there for now. We'll get into that in a bit. Not getting into it right yet. So again, I'm just trying to get the basic, like, where is everybody? What's their basic gesture? Where are all our big elements? Like, where does all this stuff go? Okay, that's basically what's going on here. Got. All right, so this first panel, we know where these two figures are. We know where the house is, and the angle that everything is taking up. So that is a good start for this panel. We're going to go ahead and do the same kind of thing on the rest of the panels. Some of these panels are pretty simple, like this next one. I will say, I will also mention again that I always have my word balloons. I figure out where they go in layout. Like, I figure out where they are going to go because it is a crucial part of figuring out the flow of your page and how you're going to guide the reader's eye around and keep them from getting confused and enhance your storytelling. Also, just like make sure you leave enough room for them because it's not a fun time to realize you do not have enough room to fit in the things your characters are supposed to say. So even though this is going to be digitally lettered, I still draw in a quick little like placeholder word balloon at this stage, just so that I know to leave that space. Do not fill that space with other stuff. This space needs to be left open, and nothing critical can go here because that's where the word balloon's going to be. Because again, word balloons should not be treated as an afterthought. They're a vital part of how the storytelling of your page works. Comics are, in fact, not just pretty pictures. You are correct, Josh. There's a lot more going on with them than that. Oh yeah, we got some classic superhero grimace going on here. All right. Like I said, a couple of these panels are fairly simple. This is just like two little portrait type panels where you've got two characters talking to each other. Well, they're kind of obviously they're facing off, as you can tell from this. Classic villain pose right here. Mwahaha. With the little like extended out like claw hands of like, oh, it's a power. Look at my power. And could I include a perspective grid on this panel? I could. Do I want to? I do not. I'm gonna just kind of fudge it. And we're gonna say that's gonna be good enough. Good enough. It's like the background on this one is not like, there's not a lot of it, and it's also not super important to what's happening here. So it's just like, you know what? Just a suggestion of what we have going on for background is fine. There we've got this nice close up here. Got a very serious face panel here. Very serious face. Okay, cool. So now we have everything kind of rubbed in. We're about half an hour in. That's not too bad, considering how much catching up I had to do at the beginning of this stream. So now what we can do is we can start refining these pencils. However, I need to open up some of my reference for what this house looks like. What does Alex's house look like? I should know these things. Stop flailing your arms over there. Making fun of me. All right. I pulled up my reference. I know what his house looks like now. I mean, I sort of knew, but I want to make sure that it's consistent, so. Okay, so now we're going to start refining some of this stuff. This should also become progressively easier to see on camera because the underdrawing I do very light, the very, very light penciling, because a lot of it is going to get erased. But then as I get more finished pencils, I do them a little bit with a little bit of a heavier hand. So I'm just going to mention again, this is a page from I Am the First, which is a superhero comic that is written by my friend Jeremy Flagg. I am doing all the artwork for it. And it is a gay superhero comic that's as much about what it's like struggling to be different in a small town as it is about, oh no, I have superpowers, now what? I don't like the side of his nose there. I'm going to erase that. So if you're interested in I Am the First 2 issues are available as of the time that I am streaming this. Issue 3 is going to be out any day now. It's done. It's just a matter of like us putting it together and releasing it. And the first place it will be releasing is on our website, bravenewcomics.com. And then after that, it'll be available all the other digital comics platforms. Your drive-thrus, your Amazons, your Apple stores, your Barnes and Nobles, all of that stuff. All right, he's got his signature plaid shirt kind of wrapped around his arm here because he just took it off, and it's just kind of hanging on his arm there still. And I'm going to kind of erase some of this underdrawing as I go to just kind of keep it neat. Erase some of this underdrawing. And I Am the First is a limited series, so it is 5 issues. So we've passed the halfway mark now. Hooray! It's 5 issues, and then when all 5 issues are done, we're gonna release it as a trade paperback, as a graphic novel that you can read the whole thing. But all the individual issues are going to be available as well, because if you just want to read the first one, you just want to get a little taste of it, if you want to read them as they come out and build the anticipation, options. All right, let's clean up your head up here, mister. All right, so we've got one figure that's in there. All right, let me look at what do we got going on here? Okay, there is another one. There is another post there. I might need to scoot some of this slightly. So I don't want that post to completely block him. So we're going to do a little bit of post here. We're going to scoot this out just slightly so that we can fit that other post on the corner here without it also going off the edge of the page. Okay, that's what we're going to have to do. They're all a little bit wobbly, but we'll fix it. All right, the edge of the lawn comes out here. We've got a dead shrub over here. I thought a dead shrub in front of their house was just a neat little detail, and now I have to keep drawing it. That's the railing right there, which means that the other side of the railing would be there. All right, let's go ahead and take care of these steps here. Let's talk about these steps. So let's see, so you got to make sure when you're doing a staircase hey, it's Nate Z. Hey guys, hey Nate Z. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm going to talk about drawing stairs in perspective because I felt like making this one really technical apparently. All right, so the thing with drawing stairs in perspective, you just got to try not to lose your grid. So the first thing that I'm doing here is I know that this is the space generally I want it to take up. I make sure that the base of my stairs is still following the perspective line. As you can see, it's getting a little wonky down here. It's not following the grid, so I'm going to fix that quick because it's all crooked. It should be coming down like this a little bit more so that it's following that grid a little bit more closely. All right, there's my very bottom step. So that's kind of like, this guideline is kind of like that's the angle the stairs are going to be at. So I'm going to come over here. I need 3 steps. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3. All right. And so as long as my points are all still like hitting this, that's very good. That means that we are following our rise, like our little angle of ascent there, and that our stairs aren't going to be like weird varying lengths and all wonky. And then we're going to follow that same grid. Try not to lose our grid. There's that front edge of that step. There's the front edge of that step. And it's going to go all the way over to that other matching line. And then we can do another one down here to give us this other set of lines where we're gonna follow our grid. And we're gonna hit our other one, and that should line up. Ta-da! And then this, we make sure we're following this grid to make the top of this stair. And then same thing over here. I feel like that one got a little wonky. A little bit wonky. All right, and we've got some stairs. I'm not great at explaining the stair thing. I feel like I could come up with a better explanation for that, but I wasn't expecting to explain how to do stairs in perspective. It's like you're still just doing the same kind of stuff you do anyway in perspective of just building your little box and following the line, but trying to get them to look consistent and following the lines and building them on top of each other. That's what makes it tricky, because you're just got so many different parts of the process you got to do over and over and over again consistently. All right, there's our little concrete steps. And where's the lawn? Come over here. It doesn't come out very far past the steps here before it goes off this way. And there's the bottom of the house. So we're going to start filling in some of this detail. What are we at? We're at 42 minutes. All right. I'm going to start putting in some. Oh, there's a shrub here. Okay. This is why it's important to look at your reference, because I would have totally forgotten that there was a shrub here. And then it would be like, hey, how come this shrub disappeared in the span of story time, 30 seconds? It was here in the last issue, and now it is gone. And it's the same moment as the last issue ended on. Because I didn't look at my references. Why? So we've got a dead shrub on this side and an alive shrub on this side, is what's going on here. So here's our little shrub. There's also like some junk in the driveway here. We've got like a beer bottle here. All right. Do we have any other junk around here? We'll just add a couple little, like, generic junk squiggles. And of course our dead shrub. Well, what am I using for reference? So I basically my reference in this case is that we have seen the outside of this house before, so I have like sketches and previous drawings of the outside of this house so that I know where all of the stuff around this house is. Like, what does the outside of the house look like? And also like, oh, there are shrubs next to the steps. So if in comics where I have like returning locales, somewhere where the action is going to keep returning to and we're going to have several scenes in, especially like complex areas, like visually complex areas where there's a lot of stuff going on, I'll usually draw like a little map and like little floor plan type map and a little like elevation sketch so that I know where these are, like what these little elements are. But also sometimes once I start like actually drawing a page, I'll get a little bit carried away and just start adding like little bits and bobs because I'm having fun drawing. And that's why I also like to make sure that I'm looking at a previous finished drawing of the same place, because sometimes I add stuff that wasn't in the map. Yeah, the reference is playing the role of the continuity editor. Although sometimes I still mess up, and then Jeremy's helping me with flats, and he's like, "Hey, did you know this door opened in the wrong direction in this scene?" And I'm like, "Shut up, you!" You had the door opening to the left in this scene, and then you had it open to the right, and then shush, shush. All right, yay, a dead shrub. Hooray. All right, the bottom edge of this porch has like a little, it's like a little lip on it. So we're gonna give it that. This corner here is still kind of messy. Let's see if I can make this a little bit more neat and organized. It's looking very messy yet. Let's clear some of that out and start over on that section. So here's the corner. I will attempt to keep this somewhat going in the right direction. Okay, now we're above the horizon line, so we're going to see a little bit of the bottom of that railing. Turning it sideways just kind of helped me to stabilize my hand for making the long, even strokes more or less in line. There's one little spoke right there. And then we're going to have this other post over here. Why are you getting so wonky? Stop being wonky. Okay. There's the other like front post on the porch. We've got a railing. You can see a little bit of the underside of the railing because we're just above the horizon line, like we said earlier. And now this is like an example of one of those things where like, yeah, I have like floor plans and stuff for this house, but then I started drawing and I got all carried away because it was fun. And I have like things like, oh, one of the one of the spokes is broken and is leaning over against the other spoke. Because I think that's fun. I feel like that's not the right word. It's not a spoke because it's not coming out of the center of a wheel. What is that called? What are these called? Someone help me. I don't remember the term. There's like an actual technical term for what these things are called on like a railing or a stairwell. I don't remember what they're called. It's going to make me nuts until I can look it up. It's just going to bother me. I know that there's a word for it. Stiles? Is that what they're called? Maybe. Maybe that's it. I'll have to look it up afterwards. We'll do an update later. I'll do an update on Twitter later. What is that thing called? That's the roof of the porch there. There's the corner of the house. The floor of the porch goes all the way along here. The other little, the up and down parts, baluster or pickets, maybe.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Hungry also looked it up and said balusters. Okay.
Balusters or pickets. I think balusters tend to be more for stairs. Pickets for
the
balconies.
For just a railing on like a porch.
But I think it's also somewhat interchangeable.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks everybody who looked that up. That makes me feel a lot better now that we know that that's a thing. All right, we're at less than 10 minutes left in our stream here. So while I work on this surly character, I'm gonna do the YouTube things. I remind you, I'm Amanda Call. This is a page from I Am the First, which is written by my friend Jeremy Flagg, drawn by me. We have 2 issues out. Issue 3 will be coming out any day now. I'm working on issue 4 right now on the stream here. And you can learn more about that at bravenewcomics.com. This is my YouTube channel where I do these streams just about every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. If you like watching me work on comics and tell you a little bit about my process, then make sure that you like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss it when I go live again, which, again, is usually Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, but sometimes things happen, so helps to subscribe, because then you know what's going on. You will also see me on here working on pages from my webcomic Age of Night sometimes. Age of Night, you can read the whole thing for free at ageofnight.com. That's AGEOFNIGHT.com. That is a weekly fantasy webcomic. You can also help support me making art if you head over to patreon.com/ageofnight become a patron and get lots of behind-the-scenes peeks at what I'm working on, early access to Age of Night pages, all sorts of fun stuff. Free comics, good stuff all around. Or if you would rather not do a monthly subscription like Patreon, I also have a Ko-Fi. So you can do ko-fi.com/AmandaCallArt, I believe. That's what I have it on. What's going on with your arm there, dude? Looks very weird. Okay. Hey, thanks so much, Jason. And if you want to keep up with me on other social medias, I have a Twitter at Age of Night. I have Instagram and TikTok at AmandaCallArt. Age of Night also has a Facebook page, and I am the first, and Brave New Comics also has a Facebook page under Brave New Comics. So you got options. You can find me. All right. I think that's going to do it for this week. We started with this page almost, I said the TikTok already, story comic, Amanda CallArt. I do have a TikTok. I don't update it very often. I do have one. Anyway. All right. We started with this page, not even, like, just barely more than blank. I had to finish doing the panel borders on stream, and we did grid and we roughed everything out, and now we are making a nice solid start on the pencils on this first panel. So next week we will continue with pencils, see how far we get. Hopefully we will be able to finish the pencils next week and start in on inks soon. So thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out with me this evening. I will see you next time. Bye.